Hey Diane, thanks for sending in your recent painting that you did for our critique series. I want to thank you too for sending in kind of a placement photo too and showing me where in your house it is. It looks like it's got a perfect spot there above the fireplace, and it helps to know where it's going to go and how it relates to the colors around it. I think that it's almost done, and I think you feel that way too. You had a particular question about the trees and not wanting to add more detail so that they take your eye away from your intended focal point, which is the colorful sky. And I think from what you told me, you probably had a reference photo and you probably added the sky, right? So that's challenging because then you have to kind of think, how does this new sky affect what I'm seeing in the landscape too? So let's keep that in mind as we go forward. And I'll tell you my first impression. You know, I like to start with the elements. So I'll say your lines are beautiful. Your shapes are really good. So you've got a great start. You even have very thoughtful consideration to the soft edges versus the harder edges. This painting about a colorful sky is a lot about feeling, isn't it? I tried to imagine if this was a morning, a dawn photo, or a sunset photo. And it could be either. It could be either. I have in my head that it's a photo at dawn just because of this area right in here where I see the light coming up from the horizon. So that's what I'm thinking of it. So let's look at it in black and white. And isn't that gorgeous? The values are mostly mid values. You've got a little bit of light where we just circled in the sun rising, and you've got some essential dark anchors, which are perfect. Now, I think we can sharpen both of these areas slightly to even increase the value structure a little. But overall, gorgeous, just gorgeous. It works. And since your intention is the color, let's start right away with the color harmony and having a look at it. So here's the painting, and then let's go over to the color harmony triangle of value, hue, and chroma, and think about what role each of these is playing in your painting. So in your painting, you've got beautiful pinks, you have beautiful blues, you have greens, you have yellows, very lovely colors. So while there's a variety of colors, it still feels connected, and I think that's because of your values and your chroma, which is a lower chroma, which is good again for the morning feel because you're not going to have those high chroma colors in most of the painting. I think there's an opportunity for some higher chroma colors in some of the smaller areas of light that'll really pop the painting. We'll see. We're going to try it. But overall, I love the lower chroma. It adds to that morning feeling. And then the values, like we talked about, are mostly mid values with a little bit of that and a little bit of that, right? I think it's just about perfect, the values, right? So as you can see, the color is doing a good job already. I can only make a couple of suggestions and we'll see if they work. Let's go back to the painting and we'll look at some other elements. The space. You definitely have a very good delineated foreground, midground, and background. So check, got that going for us. And one thing I want to point out that I'm really just absolutely in love with is your foreground here. I wouldn't touch a thing about that, Diane. I love the color, I love the values, I love the detail and the texture, another element that you've added in this foreground. You realized that this is the area of the painting that requires the texture in this foreground, right? And that's another reason why you said you were hesitant to add it over here, because you didn't want your eye to go over there. I think you are sensing correctly that something needs to be done over here, but you're hesitant to add more detail. Let's talk about the light for a minute. and adding a bit of that higher chroma. The light is coming from the horizon line, so I want it to be highly chromatic, right? So I'm going to bump it up here to a brighter yellow. Now, we'll try to keep it within your value range there. I'm going to try to blur it a little bit so it doesn't have such a hard line. Let's see if that works. Yeah, I like it. And then, would we have any of that coming over into this area? I don't know. Let's look. I think we should let that be and stick with the lower chroma yellow there, right? But I do think that that lower chroma yellow in here is where we can maybe do some work with enhancing the shapes a little bit without adding detail. So what I want to do is I want to create some space a little bit in here and show the shapes a little bit more without calling your eye to it, as you so correctly stated you did not want to do. Sharpen up that tree a little bit, and trying to get a brown so that I can add that positively now. And you do have a lot of brown in your kitchen too, so I think adding a bit of brown is a nice idea in the painting. Now I'm just softening up my hard edges a little bit. I'm going to go back over it with some green. Ooh, I like that shape that just made there. I like it a lot. And I like the idea of adding a little bit of yellow around the tree to a glowing yellow. I think that's a little too big of a purple shape right there. So go back in with a more positive shape here. And I don't know if that, I think maybe that purple should be more of a red. There we go. Yeah. Oh, really nice. I'm going to continue this kind of a brown anchor in these trees just a little bit. Not a hard line. We don't want a hard line. Okay. Here's what I love, Diane. I love these little shapes that it made, right? It's not added detail, but it is firming up the tree area a little bit, isn't it? All right, I'm going to refrain from doing any more because it was so beautiful and I don't want to mess it up. Putting a little bit of light back in here that I might have taken away. Go. Okay, so let's leave that for now. Now what I'm doing is I'm just going to see if what happens if we add just a little bit of this higher chroma in here and then a little bit down in the landscape. That higher chroma peachy color in there. Let's add just a touch more. I want it to be very soft. There. Oh, gosh, I like it so much. Okay, one other area of shape that I kind of love, but I want to see what happens if we change it just slightly are these over here, because there are three balls that are very circular in the same way, right? So even though I love things like that little shape that's peeking out, I love the symmetry of them, I'm wondering if it would feel better if they were slightly different shapes. So we're just going to try it and see what happens if we do change the shape a little bit, just a little bit. And part of me wants to indicate a little bolly shrubbery over here too. So let's do that too. Yeah, because you would think that they would be similar types of trees all growing. So if we round these out just a little bit too, maybe that would help with feeling that symmetry over here of the same type of plant that's over there. No. Okay, what do you think? I kind of love this little peaky dot there. And I love this blue so much that I'm wondering, can we put it somewhere else as well? Can we put some of it up into that sky to tie the colors in? I think it works. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. And then as for your sky, boy, it's doing a pretty good job. Now, what if we did repeat this blue up here a little bit? Would that add to our mood? Kind of like it. I always love a good repeated shape or color in a sky and in the water. Nice. Yeah. Gosh, Diane, I just don't want to do too much more. And I think that if you just try these little things and see what you think, it just might finish up for you very quickly. So let's summarize what I added today. We worked on two areas primarily, the shapes and the light, which involved adding a little bit more of higher chroma to indicate where the light is. Dianne, you had a great overall color feel to the painting already, slightly lower chroma, which is great because it makes it so much easier just to pop in a little bit of high chroma light and have it all pulled together. If the opposite was true, if it was more of a high chroma painting, that's a little bit harder to pull back into the lower chroma area for the feel of the morning. But I love the painting, and I think it's going to be a wonderful addition to your beautiful kitchen for many years to come. You've done a great job, and I hope that I've helped to give you some final details that you could add that would complete the painting in your eyes and answer your question about what to add as that final detail. Thanks for sharing with me today.